Western Fairfax County, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a big Alabama football fan, and years ago, I read a story about Paul Bear Bryant, the legendary football coach. One evening, apparently he was driving around with a friend of his, bourbon on his lap, and they were driving around. He was showing them the campus. And up on the hill, such as there are hills in Alabama, there's the coaching office, and all the lights were on. And his companion said, "Coach, what's going on in the coaching office?" He said, "Well, that's just a bunch of boys making me look good." Well, Mr. President, there's a lot of folks here in Virginia that have been making us look good for a long time. As a matter of fact, there's 103,000 of them. Virginia didn't get to be the best managed state, best place to do business, and best place to raise a child just because of what we've done in this chamber or down the hall or on the third floor. It is our state employees that have taken us to this enviable position. Now, there are a number of pretty remarkable state employees right here on the floor of this Senate today. But we stopped prioritizing state employees as a key to our success a long time ago. In 2000, we switched from a step system to a market rate compensation policy. In short, this meant that your performance and the performance of your team, as well as your experience and education and the need of your agency, determines your pay. So how's this working for us? Well, if you're a state employee, the answer is not very well, because we never funded it. An employee starting in 2000 has seen some increases, but only at a rate that leaves them 7% lower in buying power than they had when we started in 2000. If you factor in the offsets, like employees having to pay a larger share of their health costs and retirement benefits and parking, then they've fallen behind 15% in buying power from where they were in 2000. Now that's bad, but it gets worse. In 2007, we had 0 employees on food stamps and only 12 receiving some form of public assistance. But the number of employees jumped to 856 in 2000, the last time we were elected. And this year, when we asked the people of the Commonwealth to once again return us to Richmond, we are up to 1,898 employees on food stamps and 2,287 receiving some kind of public assistance. Those of you on the Finance Committee may have seen this report that I'm referencing, which is dated January the 20th, 2015 from the Department of Human Resource Management. If you've read that report, which I'm going to forward to all of you, you'll see that there's a number of interesting data points, including the fact that when new employees figure out the deal we're offering here in the Commonwealth, they leave state employment rather quickly, creating churning on employees among employees in their first years of state service. Now, this is expensive and it's counterproductive. But the exact opposite seems to be happening with long-term employees. They keep working because they can't afford to retire. So how do we get into this mess? Some of the best years of my life were spent working in a state agency with some of the best people I've ever been around, and I'm embarrassed that I've not been up on this floor sooner making these comments. I know there's justifications in why we haven't been able to do things. Certainly when times are tough, everyone has to cinch their belt. But then when times are good, we seem to have other priorities, and they're important ones. Public safety, education, health care, all hugely important. But for heaven's sakes, who's carrying out these priorities on our behalf? I'll tell you, it's our state employees. We have dropped to 33rd in the country with regards to overall compensation, and when you compare state employee compensation to what's being earned in the private sector, we're down to 49th. Private sector's doing pretty well here in the Commonwealth. Public employees, not so well. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is not good. We've shown we can act in the past. When we wanted to reward our staff and ourselves, we gave a 30% raise to our personnel budgets here that a lot of times went right to our legislative assistants, 30%. Almost a $12,000 raise. Now our LAs deserve it, but what have we done for anyone else? We seem to have abandoned the notion that it is our people in Virginia that make us who we are. Despite the atmosphere and disdain for government that has been prevalent in America for the past 7 years, we cannot allow this thinking to dominate our actions. I sure wish I had a definitive answer and a direction for us to move forward, but I only have some suggestions, and here they are. You know, having low taxes is a good thing, but an obsession with low taxes is not. We may have won some battles, but when it comes to compensating state employees, we're losing the war. We've made some great strides in establishing commissions to make government more efficient, but there is only so much you can do with this. The work has to get done. We are approaching a point of no return where we will never be able to catch up and pay these good people what they are worth to our Commonwealth. There is nothing more important than we can do over the next year but to figure this out, get it right, and work with our governor to fix this. We can fix it in a number of ways. One of them is to continue the work we're doing in looking at tax credits that were given out to industries around the Commonwealth that no longer may be required. And it's not too late to stop our Commonwealth from going over the cliff by refusing to accept Medicaid expansion. By next year, we will have lost a significant amount of the advantages that we had in taking this from the federal government, who would have paid 100% in the first 3 years of Medicaid expansion. But it's not too late. Expanding Medicaid is the only thing we can do this year that may have an impact on the working conditions of our state employees as well as the 400,000 uninsured Virginians. There are times, Mr. President, when we need to go slow and evaluate before we act. This isn't one of them. Thank you, Mr. President.